Welcome back, Stasa23 here with Copper Dice on the camera.
Yeah, Copper Dice is just jealous that my daughter stole his limelight, so he decided he was going to shoot this video for me today. Mail lady just came back and got me a new knife, the SOG Terminus. So far, initial impressions, pretty damn cool knife.
Is that an Axis lock?
It's not Axis,
Oh,
the
my bad.
XR lock.
Ooh.
Be careful what you say. Some cool things. I like the pads because the Axis lock kills my fingers because of those little how you got to hold it. So that's pretty cool.
Let me see.
One cool thing and reason why I'm showing this test because I have Copper Dice here to test. But as you can, I don't know if you can see that, but it's rocking CTS BDZ1. The only experience I have with this steel was on one of my Kershaw blurs, and I didn't get a good bit of cutting done with it before I got rid of it. So we're gonna do some real world cutting tests on some different stuff to cut up. I usually try to gear my testing material with the steel and what I think it can handle, and we're gonna see what it can handle right now. We're gonna show initial sharpness, and I'm sure they usually do a pretty good job. Yeah, it's nice and sharp out of the box. I would expect that, or at least hope. We're gonna start off with some paracord, and we'll kind of work our way up from there. So this is just some standard 550 paracord. We'll see if it cuts cleanly through it. As you can see, it didn't tear it any. We'll try some push cutting, and you want to see that pop like that. That just shows that it's got a nice sharp edge, just popping off there. We'll do some quick. What is this? 4 strands. Oh God, I'm doing 4 strands. This is after your wife tied you up in the bed. Ugh. Took a little pressure, but this paracord's been out in the elements, and it's kind of hard. Let's step it up a notch. Got some braided nylon rope right here. We'll push cut that and see how that works. Nice clean cut. Man, this thing so far, it feels like it's nice and thin behind the edge. Blade stock isn't obnoxious, and the grinds seem to be pretty even. Let's do a pull cut through this. It felt like there was nothing there. Absolutely no resistance. Let's see what it is through 2. There you go. Not a problem whatsoever. Now we're gonna step it up a notch. This stuff can be a pain in the butt to cut. This is kind of like bungee cord material. It's elastic, and if you have a thick behind the edge knife, it usually binds up in this stuff pretty quick. So let's see. Did a good job. Clean cut. Could you see all that rubber in there? Yep, and the dog wants to say hey, so did a good job with that. We got some thicker, same stuff right here, and I'm sure it's got dirt, dust all up in there, so that'll affect it. And we'll just try cutting it. Push cut.
You gotta quit being so jerky, man.
What's that?
You're moving too fast. You gotta make your movement slow.
You can't hang with me, dog.
You gotta make the movement slow, up and down.
Hey, this
You're gonna get them people dizzy.
This isn't a night with your wife or nothing.
Right.
Moving up and down slow. This is what do you call this? Banding, Sam? This is the stuff you wrap up on crates when you have materials that are shipping out. Not bad at all. And let's see if we can double it up. Only reason I'm trying to do this quickly because my cameraman has got to go. No problem whatsoever. Let's test sharpness. I would doubt that affected the sharpness at all, but you never know. They did have some dirt and stuff up in that banding. Still razor sharp. All right, we'll move to I don't know what kind of tube. Can you see how thick that is?
Oh, that looks like siphoning gas out of your car tubing.
Yeah, this is the stuff that that Copper Dice stole the gas out of my car last week with. So it's pretty thick stuff, and it has a braided line in the inside. Let's see how hard it is to cut. You got that?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely took some pressure, but once again, you got a clean cut. Let's see if I can do like a slicing motion. Very easy when you do the slicing motion. But this is definitely something good to test on, because when it gets into that thicker portion, you feel it binding up really, really hard. So really cool. Let's see doing it wants to slide off that way. So there you go. We're gonna cut it there and pick up on another portion of the test. I just don't want huge portions when I edit this up, so we'll be right back. We did the rope and stuff like that. Now we're gonna go to some cardboard. We'll start with the thinner stuff and then move our way to the more thick cardboard. This is just like almost like pizza box. Glides through there really easy, but when you have a sharp apex, it should glide through there really easy, especially with your thinner stuff. You don't usually notice any resistance unless you have, your edge isn't super sharp, or you have a really thick behind the edge knife. Then when you start to get to the thicker cardboard, you'll notice that resistance pretty bad. Alrighty, let's test the edge real quick. The blade's pretty hot. I didn't cut that fast. Alright, no snags yet. I was hoping not. Some more. Still sharp. Dang it. That was user error. Okay, let me grab it. I hope it's not already dulling out on me. Oh, got a little snag right there. Oh, that was all user error, people. You got a good shot of this? Let's see. Do a slow cut so you can tell if there's any kind of snag in the steel. Did notice that the edge on this guy was semi-polished. The wind's causing that. There you go. The snag was my error. All right, this is some very rugged. I don't know what kind of. I think this was a shoe box, but you see that copper dice? It's very rigid.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. Hopefully you can handle this. First, let's just cut it like this. Yeah, it definitely takes some pushing through this stuff. It's I would say it feels like cutting through 2 or 3 ply cardboard. Dang. Definitely a lot of resistance, and I'm putting a lot of pressure into these cuts, and still the ergos are good. I hope it's translating through the video of how much pressure I'm having to put. Look at this. It's almost like you know that backing material on like a TV stand or something. That hard stuff.
You talking to me or the camera? The audience.
The audience isn't gonna answer back to me live, so you know what I'm talking about, the copper dice?
Yeah.
Like when you have that heavy backing on TV. Let's see. That's a lot easier. Now I did just get a little hot spot on top of that clip. It was actually pushing the lettering into my hands, but that was just because I was putting a lot of force. I'll tell you what, this will definitely test that thinness out real quick. If I had a blade that was very thick behind the edge and wasn't super sharp, ain't no way I'd get through this. I'm about to call this one good right now. Yeah. Okay, let's call that good for that. Whoo, blade's very hot. Feels like we might have a little snag right here. We're about to find out. Let's see if it handled that hard stuff. Yep, we got some hang-ups. I figured we did because this stuff. Got one hang-up right there. Let me make sure it's not, any goo on the blade, because the tape residue will also make it look like it has snags. Let's see, looking at the edge, it is reflecting light right here, and got a snag right here in the blade. If you do this on your, if you do that on your fingernail like that, it should feel, if there's no problems, it should glide over there absolutely very, very smooth. Now that I have some blunting in the edge right there, you feel that in your fingernail, got some blunting right there. So that last heavy duty cardboard did a number on it. We're going to cut some of this sisal rope and just see how it performs with the problem with the edge. We'll just do a few. And I'm just basically showing here, even though it has that, it has those snags in the edge, the knife is still totally functional, especially with a working edge. It's still cutting great. You know, doing stuff like this, you're not gonna feel those blunted spots because there's sharp edge on both sides of it. So, you know, with real world use, I would still call this a good edge. And probably could fix it up on the Spyderco Sharp Maker very quick. You see that right there? At the spot on my hand? That right there is being caused by this, by putting tons of pressure, but that's a lot of pressure I'm putting down on here. All right, let's see. I don't have my gloves, so I won't do the tip test today. I'll have to do that again later. Just a thinner tube would test the penetration. Very nice with that tip. Man, this thing cuts very nice. Very, very satisfied. Nice tip for piercing. Just give you a nice roll. This stuff, I think we tried to cut this with several knives. This stuff's so thick. I'm gonna give it a go, but I seriously doubt it's gonna actually penetrate. Oh, dang. Forgot what knife we tried this on with not too long ago. This is another thing. Wow, look how thick that is, peeps. Did you think it was gonna cut it, son?
Mm-mm.
Look at that. Penetration. I like that deep penetration. I ain't never done it before, but
looked like your other one was started already.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing a second one. Man, this stuff is rough. Feels like I'm about to break the knife. After we get through this, we'll call this test good. I'll tell you right now, the jimping is brutal on my hands. See it right there?
But it didn't fall out your hand?
No, but this jimping is pretty sharp. It's pretty deep cut. Can you see that good?
There you go.
It's deep cut, and you know, as a work knife, awesome. When you run it through your hands like this, it's not that bad. But when you put down on there, it's putting some pressure. But like you said, the knife didn't come sliding out of my hand. So that does it for this section of the test. I'll do some more media. Copper Dice has got to run to go pick up his kids from school.
Show us that Axis. I mean that what's it called?
The XR lock.
Show us smooth.
And some people said that theirs didn't flip that well, but mine rockets out. And look at the smoothness of this. This is literally, Sam, what, 30 minutes ago I got this?
Yeah, I got it out the mail.
Absolutely amazing. Now this thing is riding on bearings, people. It's not like, you know, the Benchmade. I don't know if, you know, which Benchmades actually have bearings, if they do. But the action on, I was gonna delete this flipper right away because the people's reviews I've seen so far, they said that the Axis lock, you had to give it some wrist action, but as you can see, no wrist action. And you can ask Copper Dice, the action on mine is dialed in really, really nice.
Yeah, that's the best SOG I've seen.
Yeah, by far. And let's just check. Every SOG that I've ever owned, which I've only owned a handful, had side-to-side blade play and that arc lock or whatever they use always develop blade play. So let's check it out. After all that cutting, got a little bit of side to side, but y'all, you got to understand that I was putting tons of pressure down on here. Little side to side, absolutely bank fault up and down. No wiggle whatsoever up and down. I'm sure all I need to do is tighten up the screw a little bit, and I can probably get rid of that side to side. I mean, it's not bad side to side, but I can feel it. I was putting a lot of sideways pressure on this knife. So let's feel it. Yeah, definitely got some blunted spots. Let's see what the edge is like after that cutting. And then we'll probably cut and I'll start cleaning up some of my mess. Let's see. As you can see, it's got some dull spots. I mean, I was cutting some pretty nasty, gnarly stuff, but it's still got a working edge on it. It's
you think it came with a burr on it out the factory?
No, a burr?
Yeah, like sometimes a burr like makes it feel sharper than what it is until you knock that off.
Kind of like a Coke can. If you get a Coke can, you rip it in half, and you have that bent over steel, that's gonna cut the dog piss out of you. But the only bad thing about if you have a big burr, if they didn't refine the burr, if you get a big burr, eventually you're gonna break that burr off, and it might be dull after that. They didn't apex the edge right, so you know that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. The jimping on the top of this, can you see that on the flipper tab?
Got it.
It is it's pretty aggressive. I can't say whether it's gonna tear my finger up after a lot of use, but it definitely grabs that finger. I like the design of it because all you do is pull back on it and it rockets out, and push buttons. It's basically a push button light switch combination. The G10, I think this is a laminate, huh? G10 carbon fiber. You don't see the carbon fiber at first, especially with these milled lines in there. I don't think it looks bad or anything. It does give you some texture because of those lines, so it's not slick like a lot of them are. Your centering, it's a little off this way, but like I said, I'm sure a lot of that side to side force I was putting on the knife probably loosened up this pivot. The clip is deep carry. It's kind of ugly in my opinion, and it's the deepest it can get, as you can see. At least they didn't write SOG 57,000 times on this knife. You have the SOG right here. You have their skeleton logo on this side above the steel, and it looks like you just have it on the clip. You know, some of their knives is written left side, up, down, whatever. You have skeletonized liners, which is awesome. I just still can't get over the smoothness of this knife. The blade shape is attractive. You got a nice point for piercing. The liners are okay. You can see some of the grind marks on the liners, and liners are, I mean, the scale is a little bit proud of the liners, but you know, this to me is gonna be a good everyday carry work knife, beater. One thing I'm noticing just now is that they went with like a plastic backspacer, and I think that looks like poo. What do you think?
Poo? I don't know about poo.
Look, looks like poo. Poo on a stick.
It don't look bad. I mean, it depends on the price point. What's the price point?
I think these come in at around $70.
Yeah, I've never seen one before today.
So $70, is it worth it?
It'll probably make a non-knife snob a great knife.
Yeah, I mean,
for every day.
Let's be honest, okay? Your average person gets this knife. As long as I can get that side to side play out of there, this is amazing. Like, better than any Benchmade I've ever handled. You know, as long as I can get that little bit of side to side play out. And I'm sure I probably can by just tightening up that. I will definitely let y'all know in my, final conclusions in my full review. It looks like they should have extended that sharpening trawl just a little bit. You have a little smile right here. You see that little bit of extra. Oh, they could have extended it by 1/16 of an inch, and that would have been good. Somebody also commented that the thumb studs were too close to the scales, and they are right up against it, but can you see how they're above?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not an issue whatsoever.
Give him a good look at that lock.
The XR lock.
Yeah. I think the design of how that is what makes it cool.
Yeah, and like I said before, it's very comfortable to use this. That was one reason why with my scarred up hands, the regular let's do it like this so you can see how much it comes up. The regular axis lock, how it's basically underneath the scale, it always tore my fingers up when I was trying to disengage it. Especially if the pads on the axis lock were already rough, you know, that sometimes they had some like sharp edges on them. So I think this would make, you know, an excellent work knife for just about anybody. Hopefully it sharpens up really easily. That, you know, that's always a plus when you have a more budget steel, a stainless at that. You got to have some good trade-offs. You know, usually they're a little softer, but they're a lot easier to maintain, sharpen, strop. So we'll have to see, and I'll let y'all know all that stuff in the full review. But so far, very positive. Yeah. Very, very positive.
For everybody who would like to see him give it the copper dice to take to work for a week of good use.
Yeah, I'll let you know
Vote,
in a
yes.
week when they respond to it.
Okay.
So let me know if y'all like these type of videos. It'll be in 720. Get kind of pan out. I got tons of other test media, but I didn't want to be making an absolute mess more than I've already done. So I got another GoPro that I'll be trying to figure out. I'm having issues with it turning off. So I'll let Copper Dice sign out, and I'll see y'all on the next one.
He really does this stuff, guys. He don't just do it for the vids.
I like doing
or
it.
for the subscribers.
I don't monetize my videos, so I'm not gaining anything by doing this. So
peace.